Hmm. I'm very excited to introduce our first guest to start the second day of the Tour de Memory. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Statton is excited to serve Illinois as the state's 48th Lieutenant Governor. As the first African American woman to hold this office, Lieutenant Governor Statton is passionate about equality and putting passion into government policy making. Her portfolio includes the Justice, Equality, and Opportunity Initiative, chairing the Illinois Council on Women and Girls, the Governor's Rural Affairs Council, the Military Economic Development Council, and the Illinois Rivers Coordinating Council. She is chair of the 3R board: Restore, Reinvest, and Renew, and she chairs the Opiate Prevention and Recovery Steering Committee. Previously, Lieutenant Governor Statton represented the 5th District in the Illinois House of Representatives. She is the mother of 4 daughters and lives in Chicago with her husband, Brian. Welcome, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Susan, for that warm introduction and for inviting me to speak today. You know, the focus of this 3-day event centers on our compassion for others as human beings, and it's so important to have conversations around how we can care for those in need through support and resources. So thank you. To all of the event sponsors, thank you for making this event and these conversations possible. Your generosity is an example of how we can create safe spaces to share experiences and provide information. To the Memory Care Coalition of Chicago and the Planning Committee, you nailed it. Thank you for all of your hard work. And I would also like to acknowledge the other speakers and guests, including my friend and fierce advocate, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and Illinois Department of Aging Director Paula Basta, for their leadership and adding their insights during yesterday's session. Finally, to all of the attendees, thank you for your time, for engaging, for being concerned about aging and how we identify, treat, and support those with dementia and the people who provide care for them. Memory. How important is it? Well, without memory, there is no history. Without memory, we lose touch with experiences that add texture to our lives. Most of us can retell a story about a relative or a friend that we heard during a family gathering, a backyard barbecue, or holiday dinner. Most of us can smile because of a memory, recall a joke, or sing a favorite song because of our memory. Memory gives us culture, solidifies our family, and makes life vibrant. Alzheimer's robs the individual and their loved ones of beautiful memories. And we cannot continue to let that happen. We must fight this disease and other forms of dementia. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. This disease is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. Right now, 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. And it's common to say, let's take a minute to think about it. And during that minute, someone in this country is beginning to develop Alzheimer's. These are more than facts to me. I have lived this struggle. My mother, a former teacher and adult literacy instructor, suffered from Alzheimer's, and I was her primary caregiver. And it was one of the most difficult, most rewarding, and most impactful experiences of my life. I was an attorney, close to my mother who lived with me, and yet I did not spot the signs. Signs like her losing the ability to recall different words or memories, losing the ability to write and read, or as an artist, losing the ability to even paint for pleasure and with the same skill and enthusiasm. Honestly, it took another relative to see it, to sound the alarm, and that is just how difficult it is to spot dementia in its early stages. I was scared and afraid for my mother, overwhelmed at times, and honestly, just not sure what to do. And I was lucky because I had daughters who could and did help me with my mom. When you are caring for someone with memory loss, the little things can become gigantic. convincing them to take their medication or to take a nap, or that they are at home when they can't recall where they are. So be assured that when I say that this common form of dementia must be conquered, I am taking up the fight, fighting Alzheimer's with everything that I have. In 2019, in partnership with the Alzheimer's Association Illinois chapter, I began a 6-month campaign called LG Cares Through Our Eyes, which was a statewide listening tour. I met with individuals who suffered from various forms of dementia. I met with caregivers, researchers, doctors, and advocates. And I learned that there are similarities across communities, many which connected with my experience. Being a caregiver impacts your career, your time spent with your family, and the ability to practice self-care, for example. But there are also are differences. They can range from a lack of access to resources because people live in rural communities, or cultural differences where it's a family effort to provide care rather than having one person serve as the caregiver. I learned about the conflict that can come up amongst families, and I also learned about the stigma that too many in communities all across the state were feeling. This means that we have to create policy. We must address those differences in what we create. We have seen the campaign touch caregivers across the state, and it's a reminder that the work is so much bigger than me. It's a reminder that the best policy is driven by the stories of the people impacted when traveling across the state. Even when I'm at unrelated events, people stop and share their story about being a caregiver. And that's powerful. And what I've heard has helped to shape the policies that my office creates. Because of my Through Our Eyes campaign, we made several recommendations and action plans to make Illinois a dementia-capable state. Just to name a few, we are working with legislators, advocates, and opponents on legislation that improves physician training about Alzheimer's and other forms of memory-robbing diseases. The proposed legislation will assist with ensuring additional hours of dementia-related training every year for doctors, keeping current and future physicians abreast of the recent science and best practices related to dementia care, and improving diagnosis rates for Alzheimer's and other cognitive impairments. This is so important, especially for the families that have struggled to get a diagnosis. I learned about people going 2, 3, 4, or more visits with different doctors to get confirmation that they needed, that a loved one was fighting Alzheimer's. We are also working on a collaboration with agency partners to execute a public awareness campaign. And this campaign will address common misconceptions about Alzheimer's or dementia. It will identify state resources for caregivers and where they can be found, and include targeted messaging for our most vulnerable populations, including Black and Latinx communities, as well as our rural communities. I did my learning with the Through Our Eyes initiatives and realized that messages about available resources at the state aren't getting to people who often need to hear them the most. This is something I'm continuing to work on through my engagements and social media, and I will continue to uplift these issues. Another step to making Illinois a dementia-capable state is to create a working group that focuses Alzheimer's-related issues. One in particular is highlighting the challenges of early onset Alzheimer's. This group will come together to ensure that people dealing with Alzheimer's get the help that they need without having to jump through bureaucratic hoops. And finally, it's important to make sure that this issue is top of mind all across the country. I worked with lieutenant governors across the country to pass a resolution through the National Lieutenant Governors Association, recognizing the challenge of Alzheimer's and the need for every state to address challenges like I am here in Illinois. I'm proud to make this a national issue and for others to take on Alzheimer's in every state as we are here in Illinois. These are just some of the actions that we are working on to get done. Many of our efforts, of course, were slowed by COVID-19. The science shows that as you get older, your risk for severe illness from COVID-19 increases. In fact, according to the Illinois Department of Aging, 87% of the more than 10,000 COVID-19 deaths are people who are 60 years of age or older. If you or an older family member, friend, or neighbor are in need of any kind of assistance, then call your local agency for help. Anyone can look up their local agency on aging by county through our state website, which is illinois.gov/aging. illinois.gov/aging. Or you can call our senior helpline at 1-800-282-8966. In closing, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to connect on an issue that is really close to my heart. My efforts to link my passion to help with policy only works with help and encouragement from all of you. I know that you are with me, and we are together to help those battling dementia illness and those who love and care for them. Thank you again, and I will now turn it back over to Susan.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much. We appreciate your carving some time out this morning to be with us, especially with this challenging time in our healthcare and politics. It was an honor and a pleasure to see and hear your home care story. I've heard it before, and I get goosebumps every time I hear you. And we applaud you for all the initiatives for us in Illinois. Thank you so much. Are there any questions we can ask the Lieutenant Governor while we have her today? I think everybody's either waiting for the coffee to kick in, or they're totally intimidated.
Well, thank you, everyone. And if there are any other questions, or if we can be helpful in any way, my email address is LTGOVSTRATTON, Lieutenant Governor Statton @illinois.gov. And please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Have a great conference.
And thank you.